Good evening and welcome to the International Great Black Read Aloud Day 2026. My name is LD Robinson and I am your reader for today. And we have a special today because I'm going to read, and then later on this evening, we are going to air another reading. We have a very special uh, two special guests with us this evening, and we'll air their reading later tonight. And so we're going to get started. Today is day 9 and is raising children. And we read here at the International Great Black Read Aloud Day. We read for the express purpose of encouraging the exploration, purchase, and reading of books written by Black people. And that is why we're here giving voice to words written by Black people all around the world. We read from writers from everywhere. Is just something that we were inspired to do. And this is our 6th year of reading. And we appreciate all the feedback that you give us. It helps us to improve, actually, to make it through the month. We've had a couple of months where we had to truncate due to voice issues, but we are holding up well this year, and we believe we are going to finish out our month of reading. We've got some great reads in store, and so we're excited about that. And so tonight is day 9, raising children, and our first selection for tonight. With our reading is Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys, Volume 2 by Jawanza Kunjufu. And this is a very interesting book. It's a whole series of books, but this particular one, Volume 2, is very interesting because he deals with boys and girls in here and parenting. And so we're going to read from chapter 1 in here. And I highly encourage, if you have boys, if you have children, but particularly if you are raising a young Black male, this is an excellent series to help you. Children don't come with manuals, they're all different. And so there's no specific manual. And so any help that you can get to help you develop your young males, any good help, I should say, um, is to be appreciated. And so we're going to read from chapter 1. Oh, before I do that, let me remember I'm going to put up our cover so that you can see this. So when you're in the bookstore, you can go ahead and pick up a copy of Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. And in this day and time, there is not a bad time to talk, excuse me, to talk about raising Black boys, particularly in America. And so we're reading from chapter 1. The most frequent response I received upon releasing Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys was that more should have been written about teaching Black boys to be responsible. The Revised Edition declared, quote, "Some mothers raise their daughters and love their sons," end quote. Over the years, I have observed that when it comes to their sons, some mothers have low expectations for academic excellence and seldom assign household chores. On the contrary, girls are expected to perform well in school as well as share a good load of the housework. This double standard reinforces the stereotype that household chores and academics are for girls only. Further, it serves to create conflicting expectations in adult male female relationships. She has learned to be responsible and expects him to be so too. Not only has he not learned, he expects her to do all the cooking, cleaning, washing, ironing, homework with the children, etc. The present day mother son relationship reflects the history of the African American experience. Mothers can be heard referring to their children as, quote, little man of the house, end quote, or negatively to, quote, no good boy, end quote, who's, quote, just like your no good father, end quote. My concern in my book, Motivating and Preparing Black Youth for Success, was parents who work to give their children everything, but become annoyed when their children lack drive and enthusiasm. Mothers who give everything and allow their sons to live at home indefinitely do not help their children grow up. There are mothers who buy their sons expensive gym shoes, stereos, and leather bags while providing free room, board, and meals indefinitely. I ask mothers in my workshops for their reasons why some, quote, raise their daughters and love their sons, end quote. Here are some of their responses and my comments. Number one, mothers are not supported by fathers in encouraging domestic responsibility. His response. This response applies to less than 34% of the households where the men still reside with their children. I understand a mother's concern. Parenting is much more effective when there is mutual agreement. When the father does not subscribe to this school of thought, a mother's appeal will be less effective. Number two, the mother stated, mothers lack knowledge of masculinity. His response. Many boys still believe domestic activities are feminine and may lead to homosexuality. A single parent once told me her son did not want to wash dishes the previous night after dinner because washing dishes was feminine. The next evening, the parent was going to serve her son on the same dirty plate used previously. The son washed his plate, not because it was masculine or bordering on femininity, but because he wanted his food on a clean plate. 3. Mothers use their sons to replace an absent husband. His response. How many mothers have told their sons, you are the man of the house? Can a 9-year-old be a man? Have mothers come to rely on their strong son to do the physical work around the house? While I am in favor of boys doing whatever is necessary, I am concerned that mothers, consciously or unconsciously, use this work to keep their sons with them permanently. Number 4. Mothers hold their daughters to a higher standard. His response. The double standard that exists is not healthy for boys' development and is disastrous for future adult male-female relationships. When daughters are taught to cook, sew, clean, visit libraries, and attend church, and are expected to be on the honor roll, while boys are allowed to play basketball all evening after school, never visit libraries or church, cannot boil a hot dog, and have never been on the honor roll, the black family has a very serious problem. Number 5, mothers protect their sons from racism. His response. Historically, black mothers shielded their sons to keep them from being lynched. This is very complex historically and contemporarily. I don't know if the present day mother consciously thinks about lynching when she lowers her expectations for her son and does not push him to society's limit, when she overcompensates for her efforts to help her daughter to reach her full potential. If mothers don't believe their sons will be able to become self sufficient in this racist society, she will rear him to become more dependent on her. The question then becomes, who is going to teach black boys to be responsible in white America? Black men, female teachers, ministers, peers, television, radio, bosses, the extended family, athletic coaches, fathers, mothers. I believe the motive for the conspiracy is white male supremacy. If you think the only reason for our problem is because of somebody else, you have given them a compliment that they do not fully deserve. You can blame white men for a portion of the problem, but white men do not determine if our boys wash dishes or clean up their rooms. I can be critical of black mothers only to a degree. The major indictment is on those black men, specifically black fathers, who began their jaunt toward irresponsibility by making a baby they refused to care for. I have observed different responses from unemployed fathers. Some fathers cry in their misery and make the matter worse with abuse, neglect, and crime. Other fathers in the same circumstances will sell papers or peanuts or provide landscaping or garbage removal services. Should black men and women accept these narrow gender roles, or should they understand that even while unemployed, men can help their children with homework, teach them the beauty of being black and a Christian, and also assist their wives with housework? Until we redefine manhood and limit the psychological effect of welfare, we will continue to observe the phenomenon of boys making babies. What is being responsible? Webster defines it as accepting obligation, being answerable and accountable. Why are some black men so irresponsible? I am reminded of a food co op I was a member of. We would purchase the food from a large distribution facility at 3 a.m. I was a weekly regular and we had rotating assistants. One brother in particular was always late or absent. As I pondered his circumstances, I observed a chaotic family and an unpredictable lifestyle. He simply did not have the internal fabric to be responsible and consistent. It was often hard for me to accept this because my father worked evenings but called the house at exactly 8 p.m. every night of my childhood. I thought all men were like my father. I now understand that responsibility must be taught early. I am tired of black women complaining about black men being irresponsible when they have the best opportunity to correct that with their sons. I repeat, responsible men are born in boyhood. Remember, our little boys will be someone's future husband and father. Here's a general list of tasks, chores, character developers, etc., that should be reinforced on a daily basis. Personal hygiene, clothes, room, household chores, siblings, allowance, studies race, toys and equipment, schedule, sexual activity, law, residence, health, God. Who is going to teach black boys good hygiene and proper grooming? Who is going to ensure that black boys do not play in their good clothes and hang them up after school? When will black boys be expected to make their beds daily and clean their rooms periodically? Who is going to make black boys wash dishes, mop, vacuum, dust, sew, and cook? When will black boys be expected to take care of their siblings in preparation for fatherhood? Who will teach their sons how to manage their allowance so that they won't be like so many men who carry a wad of money in their pocket and cannot explain what happened to it at the end of the week or month? In our house, both boys are required to save a portion of their allowance each week. At the end of the year, they have an option of spending it or saving a portion which we will match and invest. Two lessons are taught. First, that they save each week is a very small and is, let me repeat this. Two lessons are taught. First, what they save each week is very small. Sorry about that. What they save each week is very small and could buy very little. But money accumulated throughout the year amounts to a significant sum and promotes the value of saving. Secondly, a matching grant incentive and investment teaches how money can work for them. Who is going to teach black boys to do their homework as soon as they come home from school, music and television off? Who is going to teach them to be responsible for their grades and actions in school? When are black boys going to learn to take one toy outside at a time and always bring it back in before taking out another? When are they going to be taught to put their toys in one location in their room and how to avoid breaking them? Who is going to teach their sons to be punctual about time commitments and class schedules? When are black boys going to be responsible for their sexual promiscuity? A documentary titled The Vanishing Black Family that portrayed a brother who was irresponsible. Many people thought he was an actor. He said, quote, making babies is like a piece of art. You lay back and look at your work, end quote. There are parents who know their son has impregnated a sister on the block, but do not hold him accountable. In the same documentary, the sister said, quote, I want the baby because I want someone to love me, but I don't want to marry the father because he can't even take care of himself, end quote. Our society, specifically families, have a double standard on this issue. Statements such as, quote, boys will be boys, all boys have some dog in them, end quote, and boys, quote, boys have to sow or free wild oats, end quote, all reinforce boys' feeling that they can do whatever they want sexually. 90% of all teenage pregnancy programs service females. When you hear the phrase teenage pregnancy, most people think girls. My studies still confirm that it takes consenting parties of both genders to produce a baby. I applaud programs like Project Alpha, the Urban League, and Teen Fathers in Cleveland for providing concrete programs and counseling for the other party. While we need to commend these and other programs holding black boys accountable, the first level of responsibility, still resides in the home. Excuse me. When are parents going to hold their sons accountable for their sexual behavior? I believe there is a direct correlation between a boy being allowed to be irresponsible about his hygiene, clothes, room, household chores, siblings, money, studies, toys, activities, and schedule to his sex life. If a boy has been irresponsible about everything else, why should we expect anything different in his sexual behavior? Another book is needed to explain why girls are also sexually irresponsible. Most adults, especially mothers, are not comfortable talking to their sons about sex. Unfortunately, most boys learn inaccurate sexual information on the streets. Parents may timidly drop a book on their 16-year-old boy's bed. Excuse me. Parents may timidly drop a book on their 16-year-old son's bed saying, quote, let me know if you have any questions, end quote. Or you get the quote, open minded parents who accept that boys will be boys and are highly sexed, as the brother in the documentary stated, and give their sons an unlimited supply of condoms. Research shows that youth, specifically those labeled, quote, high risk, end quote, become sexually active at 12 or 13 years of age. This is important because most homes, school, and churches provide counseling for youth 16 years or older. The fundamental question is, what is the objective of our counseling? Moral guidance, dispensing contraceptives? Many parents and institutions have dropped the first line of defense, which is moral responsibility. The second step is accepting the act but protecting yourself against pregnancy. I often tease my workshop audience on teenage pregnancy by declaring, quote, I can stop teenage pregnancy if you can stop teenage sex, end quote. Our sad state of affairs results from a lack of moral responsibility, inadequately preparing our children on the use of contraceptives, and not holding them accountable for their, quote, piece of art, end quote. My father always told me, quote, if you make it, you will take care of it, end quote. I believed him. I actually thought that if a girl's parents came to my house and convinced my parents that I was the father of her child, my school plans and savings would have been altered. This kind of background makes a boy think twice about his actions. My father also said, quote, welfare didn't make it and welfare will not take care of it, end quote. The next area of responsibility is the law. Schools in the larger society operate on rules. If the rules are broken, there are direct consequences. When there are no rules at home and no repercussions, it is difficult for all youth to understand, especially black boys who spend a disproportionate amount of time on the streets. Discipline is the number one problem in elementary schools. And many teachers say, how can I discipline them when their parents don't? Who is going to teach black boys to respect rules, the law, and authority? Again, I refer to my father who told me early on, quote, if you get caught breaking the law and get locked up, don't even think about calling, end quote. I knew my mother would get me out, whatever the reason. He put that in parentheses. Please note, I am very much aware of police brutality and the large number of brothers who are in jail for no reason other than racism and lack of money. I am referring to those unquestionable violations, such as rape, burglary, and murder, where parents will still plead in defense of their sons. Who is going to hold black boys accountable for becoming employed? People have told me their parents said, quote, you will either go to school or get a job, but you are not going to lay up in this house, end quote. Granted, institutional racism in America confirms Sidney Williams' prediction in Who Needs the Negro? Alvin Toffler in The Third Wave describes the white power brokers' disdain and disregard for black labor. White suburbia has help wanted signs in numerous fast food franchises, but many of the jobs are simply inaccessible to black teenagers, and their minimum wage are inadequate for heads of households. I mentioned earlier that despite these conditions, some brothers will sell newspapers or peanuts before selling drugs or quote pimping and quote off their mother or lady. I remember when I could not find work in high school, I volunteered to work with an electrical firm to learn how to be an electrician. They first questioned my desire to volunteer, then felt sorry for me and gave me bus money and eventually gave me a little spending money. But more importantly, I learned the basics of being an electrician. Who is going to teach black boys to be responsible for their education, employment, and overall skill development? If black boys are allowed to stay with their parents indefinitely without contributing to the household financially and do not attend school or develop skills, how will they ever learn responsibility? The relationship some boys have with their mothers parallels the parasitic relationship some sisters have with welfare. In each case, the authority figures expects nothing from the dependent, and consequently, the person becomes more irresponsible and dependent. When are black boys going to learn the relationship between diet and health? Who is going to prevent our boys from smoking cigarettes at age 11, creating a lifetime addiction and potentially premature death? Life expectancy tables show the following life expectancies: European women, 77 years; African American women, 75 years; European men, 71 years; African American men, 64.8 years. Black men often die before receiving their first Social Security check. Who is going to take black boys for their annual medical and dental checkups? Lastly, who is going to teach black boys to be committed to the liberation of black people and to place God first in their lives? In my experience, providing cultural and religious programs for youth, I observe different standards for sons and daughters. Why should we be surprised when we see more women involved in cultural and religious activities when, as children, the pattern was already being molded? Many parents require their daughters to attend black and religious events, but leave it optional for their, quote, little man of the house, end quote. In conclusion, developing responsibility in black boys is essential if we want responsibility from black men. Responsibility starts early. The relationship between some mothers and sons needs an honest assessment. It also has implications not only for adult male female relationships, but also for the associations boys have with their female teachers. Often boys think the way they negotiate, plead, rap, and manipulate their mothers can also be used with their female teachers, girlfriends, and later their wives. The next chapter will explore further the relationship and issues between female teachers and African American boys. And so this has been from our selection today, which is our Day 9 offering, and it is Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys, Volume 2 by Jawanza Kunjufu. And we'll put back up our cover so that you can see it. It's part of a series, and we read from Volume 2 today. And we hope you have enjoyed this, and hopefully you have some conversations about some of the things we talk about. It's very pertinent in today's time. Although this book was written some time ago, almost 40 years ago, it is still very pertinent. These are still questions. Trust me, these are still questions that need to be asked and things that need to be answered in the case of raising children. And so today has been Day 9, Raising Children, here at the International Great Black Read Aloud Day. We will be back later tonight with another selection from a couple of special people who will be reading aloud. And we want to remind you that tomorrow is Humor Day. It is Day 10 tomorrow. And we'll see you tomorrow with something to give you a chuckle, as we sure will. Have a good night, and we'll see you later tonight for our next read aloud.